My mother and father are both traditional Irish musicians. My father plays the uilleann pipes. My mother then comes from London but was brought up with Irish parents, one from Clare, one from Galway. And her father from Clare was Tommy McCarthy, and he was uilleann piper and concertina player and a whistle player. My father, I suppose, would have had a lot of old recordings, tapes and stuff that he recorded over the years and collected as well. So I was lucky in that regard that I was able to draw from that a lot of the time when growing up. My early influences would have, living was Seán McKiernan when I was growing up. There's a lot of similarity in the playing of Seán's and Willie Clancy, who I would have loved listening to, and then going back to Leo Rowson and Johnny Doran and Felix Doran and Seamus Ennis, and then back to Patsy Tuohy and Richard O'Mealy. There's always new pipers. You know, you can never stop studying what they're doing, and there's so much to learn. This is the Taylor set of pipes, which is now owned by Seán McKiernan, and they were originally owned by the great Patsy Tuohy of Galway, and he went to America when he was 3, and when he was a bit older he ordered these, probably in the 1880s, off the Taylor brothers. They were from Drogheda originally. Their father was a pipe maker and also built organs. Then too, he played this set of pipes all through his career, his main set of pipes. He probably had a few, but from all the photos you see, this is most likely the set in all of them. And then when Patsy Tuohy died, they were given to a student of his, Michael Carney. Michael Carney got the pipes off Tuohy's wife when Tuohy died in 1923. But he was constantly repairing pipes. He made some alterations to the set when he received them. And Carney, as a pipe maker, was well regarded, and he made 4 sets of pipes, full sets. It's a great honour to have the chance to play this set, and I'm very grateful to Seán McKiernan for giving me the chance. And it's just amazing when you put your fingers on the chanter, like the things that happened on that chanter. And it's funny, when you put on a set of pipes, for me anyways, I'm kind of inclined to go maybe to a certain style, or you hear a certain sound that you connect with a certain musician or type of music, and like from flat sets to concert pitch. But even within concert pitch sets, you know, you might play a Rowson set and think of Willie Clancy or Johnny Doran, has that kind of round, chunky sound. But immediately when you put on these, you're just drawn back to the likes of Michael Carney and Tuohy, and you kind of, some of the tunes start coming out that you wouldn't kind of think of if you were playing a flat set of pipes, and you're kind of inclined to maybe just go towards some of the techniques and stuff. The techniques that I've heard from Carney, I do use them in my own playing. What I liked about his playing was his rolls, the timing on the rolls was very good. And then he used to double up the cuts, the grace notes on it. You hear that on the likes of, well, all the tracks really, but Jolly Tinker, it's quite obvious. year 2000 when my grandfather was sick, and we went to Bullen in Galway, which is the home place of Patsy Tuohy, and there was a plaque being unveiled for where his house did stand, and my father and my granddad was there, and my granddad passed away not too long after that. And I remember it being a kind of a poignant moment. There was lots of people there for the unveiling, and that was probably my first introduction to Patsy Tuohy, and then which led me to kind of follow up and hear about the likes of Michael Carney, student of Patsy Tuohy's, and I suppose that ties in with Seán McKiernan as well. So Seán, will you tell us about how you might have got the Tuohy pipes?
Tom Busby from New York, from Massapequa Park in New York, he used to write the odd article for the Uilleann, for the Journal of the Uilleann. We became friends, and when we'd go out to America at Christmas time, I used to go down and visit him. And then the winter of '88, I didn't get a chance to go down and visit. And in January I had a letter from him saying that they were sorry that I didn't call, that they had pipes of historical interest that they wanted to show me. Coming up to the following Christmas then, '89, I had a letter from him, and he said that they had Patsy Tuohy and Mike Carney's pipes, and they had decided they wanted to pass them on to me. And I said, I can't. And he said, what do you mean? Well, I said, when you consider the fingers that the people who played those pipes, I said, it'll be a very bold move of me, a very aggressive move of me to just take them up like that. Well, he said, we've decided we want to pass them on to you. He said, and if you don't take them, he said, somebody else will, and I'd advise you to take them.
So Mike got Tuohy's pipes then. Do you know how that came about? Or?
Mike got Tuohy's pipes. I suppose he bought them from me, Tuohy.
So Carney seemed to have approached her rather than her approaching him.
Seemed to have.
But it seemed natural that he was the person.
Well, yes, because he used to repair the pipes for Patsy and everything, and do the tuning and all that. So
and also a left-handed player.
There you are. Yeah.
And then Michael learnt off Patsy Tuohy. They reckon.
I wonder.
Most likely, probably.
Yeah. So he used to tune up his pipes. All right, you have a great story about that.
Oh yeah. Well, apparently before Tuohy would go off playing concerts, that he'd bring the pipes over to Carney, and Carney'd be tuning up in the room when he calls over, and Tuohy walking, pacing up and down the corridor with the pipe. And he could hear the music coming out in the room. And then when he hear the pipes are singing, he'd, that'll do, Mike, that'll do, Mike. He said.
He was a fine piper himself. He was, of course, I mean, apparently when they'd be playing together, Mike Carney would be playing first, and then they'd be putting pressure on Tuohy to play, and he'd say, this is the man you should be listening to. He's going into a studio. He hated it. Of course, everyone does.
Right.
It's very claustrophobic. I suppose it was the same in those days as it is today.
Tom Busby reckoned that it didn't reflect how good a piper he was.
These
recordings, even though it's great playing.
It seems to me that he was trying to emulate Patsy's style.
Was he?
I think so. I
Just
don't know.
in those
But
ones?
I think so. Yes, he was playing very fast.
Yeah.
And I think he was normally a slower player. Well, the cylinders are slower.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to emulate what Patsy would do.
Mike was a flute player originally, apparently, according to
I didn't
Tom
know
Busby.
that. I didn't know that. No.
Yeah.
What he said,
I think he said that before, when he came to America, that he ended up learning pipes.
Yeah.
And he was a lovely flute player.
Yeah.
But his family were all pipers as well. Right? There's an account of him, his family, I think his grandfather and his father, playing at the Land League meeting in Irishtown.
Yes.
I think it was in the 1870s when Mike would have been a young lad.
Yeah.
He was born in Mayo originally.
He was born near Irishtown, Dunmacreen, I think, and there's a castle there.
Yeah.
I remember going up there once with Cahill O'Coog. We asked a few local people around where the house was.
Yeah.
I think there was only ruins of the house, and I remember taking a rock or stone out of the foundation. What was the foundation?
Yeah. I think the birth records say 1872.
72, I think. Yes. Yeah.
And then went to America at the age of about 20 in 1891 or 92. Yeah.
He was working as a machinist, and they used to make bicycles and things like that. I suppose that's why he was able to solder and things like that. Metal works.
Yeah, he had the skills, I suppose.
That's just the thing. I suppose he had the skill. Yeah. Weren't there 4 sets then that Mike Carney made?
Yeah.
I suppose he would have based his work on the tailors. What he said.
Yeah. In around 1910. Something happened to him which ended up leading to Carney being in a wheelchair.
I understood that was sudden. Now, I don't know whether I'm right or wrong, that one morning he just couldn't walk and the legs sort of atrophied after that.
And there seemed to be a lot of benefit concerts for him in Brooklyn and Manhattan that people set up.
Seems that they're worried to have to be wheeled to those what you call those concerts.
But you'd see in those concerts, the likes of Michael Coleman and Jim Morrison, a lot of great players. PJ Conlon
would have been there as well. Yeah.
Like if you had the likes of them supporting him, it just shows what a great musician.
Well, there you are.
He was.
You know that tune that Mike Carney plays on one of the cylinders of the Big Grove? Would you play that?
There's a nice triplets in the second part. You need to jump up to the high A, but it didn't seem to be a bother to him. And that double roll. Well, and he could have been doing it with the back D. Favourite recordings of all time is the duet playing between Michael Carney and Morrison, which they made with Columbia Records in 1929. It's fantastic. What do you think? What stands out for you in that recording?
It's one of the greatest recordings from that era. The playing between them is extremely tight. The start, the variations, and the finish are all very tightly woven together.
The beginning is very precise. The drones are on, and then Carney goes dun dun, and then on the B, dun dun dun, on the first beat, Morrison comes in. That's it. So it's very precise. It's not even a few seconds.
Very refined start.
It is very.
There's
refined.
a bit of leeway in the tradition to maybe not have such a refined start, and that would be completely nobody bats an eyelid. But they've taken the time to just refine that and polish that. It shows.
Yeah. quite elaborate finish to the first tune, and then Morrison takes off solo playing. And you were saying that's one of the only examples where
you actually hear Morrison without accompaniment, because he's usually playing with accompaniment in his solo tracks or in other duets. For example, the one with McKenna, and then the
finish,
end
then
of
I suppose,
the reel. The end of the reels is they finish on the first part of the Duke of Leinster, and just the ending is very polished as well. They're playing exactly the same ending. It shows. You know,
they've worked it out.
And not all recordings do that. And that stands out. You know. Morrison is also doing some things with Carney that he wouldn't do if he were playing by himself. You do wonder. It sounds like he's kind of trying to get close to the pipes in some ways, and
like some of those staccato notes which wouldn't flow naturally, I suppose, on a fiddle.
He does them very well. I think, and they work.
When Morrison came to New York first in America in 1915, he stayed with Carney. He lodged with him. So they obviously have played a lot together, and that stands out in the recordings. You know, they would have played at dances, and I think that definitely stands out as well.
It's very lively. Morrison is probably one of his most recognisable features is his very heavy emphasis on the first, the third, the fifth, and the seventh note in a reel. So and that stands out in this duet, but that stands out throughout Morrison's playing. But it works very well with Carney.
Yeah, and Morrison was a massive figure in New York and America through recording and playing at the time. But it probably shows what a great player Carney was, to be playing with the likes of James Morrison. I think Carney's probably underrated as a piper, and maybe didn't get the recognition he deserves, but that just, I suppose, that highlights that. Bonhamage 3 Lost na Rialna.
All right, Marshall.
Okay. So we're going up to County Roscommon to visit Denis Igoe, a nephew of Paddy Lavin. And Paddy Lavin was a student of Carney's. Denis has a load of stuff belonged to Michael Carney. He has a set of pipes which was made by Michael Carney for Paddy Lavin, and he has pipe making equipment, tools and stuff. And he has some letters and photographs. John Tuohy's going to be here from Kilkenny. He's going to be showing us around as well and talking to Denis, so we'll have a bit of crack, I'd say. Denis, will you tell us your connection with Michael Carney?
Well, Pádraic Keane, we call him, he was my uncle, and when he immigrated to America, he met Martin Byrne from Fairmount.
Right.
And he went, that's who brought him out to Carney and introduced him to him first.
So he had music before he went over to America?
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
There would be a lot of musicians around here, and that's what they would have learned, playing around in country house dances, that type of stuff.
Lovely.
And then when he immigrated, I suppose that's where he started taking lessons of Michael Carney.
And Carney made the set for him then, probably shortly after. That's the same set that we have on the table.
That's they were made by Carney.
There was was it Tom Busby reckoned that Mike Carney made about 4 full sets like this.
Yeah.
So I think there was one for a man called Hugh Kavanagh from Ruski in again Roscommon Leitrim border.
Yeah.
And then there was this man on the cover of the record here.
Yeah.
Peter Gallagher.
Yeah. He got a set in 1923, I think, for $300. A lot of money, like, for a set.
Yeah.
So you were saying possibly he was a student as well of Carney's?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
So that was in the 1930s when he was learning off Carney, yeah.
And the set was probably made some time between that and he coming home tired.
It was a short enough period that he learnt off, like,
he
got a lot out.
About 6 years, about 6 years.
Paddy Lavin was advertised as playing at different benefit concerts for Michael Carney.
That's right.
He must have been of a fairly good standard, to play in public. And then he came back in 1937. He came back. His 2 brothers were playing the flute, weren't they? Jim
they were
and Mick.
They were playing the flutes. They were. And he taught them.
He showed them techniques and stuff that
he would have
learned from Carney.
He would have. I don't know. I just overheard my mother saying one time. I remember saying that some of the musicians around the area didn't like some of this stuff.
Oh, really?
They're putting too much into it.
The tight stuff.
Yeah. Too much technique here.
Yeah. So.
But it's funny because Busby kind of referred to that tight style as the Connacht style, yourself. So maybe it came and then it changed here when they came back.
But there was a lot of pipers from this part of Roscommon that went to America, the likes of Eddie Burke and
that's right.
And they all seem to have been involved with Mike Carney and they all seem to have been.
But I suppose then here you had like all the flute playing, so they wouldn't have been doing all that staccato work on the pipes.
And
most of the Mayo pipers and Roscommon pipers were probably over and doing that over in America. And
when they met probably Michael Carney, I suppose.
When he went to the States first, he was a flute player. Like he hadn't actually played the pipes until he went to America.
Yeah.
But his father was a piper and his grandfather was a piper and his uncle was a piper. So I remember I found a very good newspaper clipping from 1835 of a J. Carney from Irishtown, and he was a professional piper. Yeah. So if he was an adult at that stage, he was born around 1805 or maybe 1810. There was 100 years worth of piping in the family before Carney ever had his hands on it. It's just interesting. He must have absorbed some of that. You don't get to become such a good player in
growing up.
He learned of Patsy too.
Apparently he did. Yeah.
They seem to have been great friends, or that they And then of course Carney made all the reeds for Patsy Tuohy as well. That was another aspect of the relationship that there was.
John, you've looked at a lot of his reeds.
Yeah, Denis has a lovely very kindly loaned me some of these reeds here, but they're absolutely beautifully made. That's one with MC on it for, I presume, Mike Carney written on it. So
probably that's one of his.
It's a beautiful reed, you know, and it still works. So still sounding.
Lovely.
So it has to be made before 1938 anyway. So it's amazing, nearly 100 years old.
Amazing, yeah.
But,
very neat, isn't it?
Composite drone reed.
So we have, there's a whole selection of different reeds here, but there's the hair. There's a grey hair under that one.
There is, yeah.
Wow.
But these are lovely little drone reeds. But
that could be a Carney hair, or
it could be
Busby hair.
DNA.
Yeah, do the DNA test.
But
this is a Lavin hair, is it?
Yeah.
This is another interesting one. This is so I suppose this is very reed or uilleann pipe nerd territory now. But this is a composite reed. So normally they would make it all like these ones out of the one piece of cane.
Yeah.
But then this is made with a wooden body and a cane tongue.
Like ebony or
something. It's an ebony piece of ebony, But I suppose this is now, an awful lot of pipe makers would make them. Kind of since the 1980s, they really became popular. But this is from the 1930s, so it predates all of the composite drone reeds by about 50 years.
Wow.
So Carney was just a great craftsman.
Base drone reed, that is.
I would guess it is, yeah. There's a whole collection of them here. There's your inverse staple. There's another one with the MC written on it again, another Mike Carney one.
Yes.
But they're beautiful things altogether.
Wow.
There's some cigar cases inside. I presume they're Carneys and there's reeds in them.
Really?
Left inside.
He smoked the cigars as well, didn't he?
Yes.
There's a nice reference from Tom Busby, and you've probably heard, when he's smoking away in the cigars and in the wheelchair in the kitchen in the summer's evening, and that's where you'd really hear the staccato triplets and backstitching.
I suppose when he was relaxed. And
not like when you're going into a studio.
Was it only one commercial 78 Mike Carney made?
Yeah, like he made in 1929, he made, in February, it must have been in the same sitting, made the recordings with Morrison.
Okay.
And then his own ones with the Jolly Tinker and the
Geese in the
Bog.
Yes, yeah.
So those two then would be one on each side, and then one on each side on the other one.
And then, but then the
Columbia Records
the
was the
cylinder recordings, then they're private. I reckon that they were made on Patsy Tuohy's cylinder machine, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I've heard some of them are right.
Yeah.
They're in the traditional music archive.
They are in the traditional music archive. Yeah. They're well worth a listen. Like. As far as piping is concerned, like it had everything in it, variations, full use of range of the chanter, you had your ornamentation, every possible kind, and rolls and backstitching, double rolls, crans, pops, had everything, apart from the regulators, but he was doing enough in the chanter, much more than like a lot of people do. The day before Michael Carney died, Tom Busby called around to the house and was playing the chanter, and Michael Carney asked him to turn around the chanter as Tom Busby played the bellows and bag, and the last tune, according to Tom, that he played was The Morning Star.